DC Young Fly spent years disguising his own deeply rooted hatred of himself as jokes pointed at women's beauty, projecting his own feelings about his own ugliness until women perfectly secure in their skin. Say what you want about my tears. They were pure tears of rage and not at all a sign of weakness, because in the end I won. I'm happy I cried and moved on. That Jacky Oh girl must have been so deeply insecure about herself.
My boy Nick Cannon is so petty!
How petty is he?
He couldn't get Carter B, so he got Azealia.
But you have to enjoy your lap around the theater because you're not going to be booking any other work in any time. Enjoy Wildin' Out. You won't even make it to Dub Comedy Jam, honey.
Dead at 32, exactly on my 32nd birthday, May 31st, 2023 in Miami, Florida. You guys are going to learn to stop effing with.
This is the ceiling.
You need to find your dentist. How do you take your goddamn braces off but you cut the little middle part? Stupid girl.
Your used to look like 6th grade.
Really?
Pizza. It used to look like middle school pizza. Middle school cafeteria pizza.
Y'all, the drama just got darker. Azealia Banks is back at it. And this time she's pointing fingers at DC Young Fly, claiming he had a hand in the tragic passing of his longtime partner, Ms. Jacky Oh. 2 years after her death, Azealia is dragging it all back up, mixing old grudges with brand new accusations. But is she exposing hidden truth, or is this just another one of her wild revenge plots? Let's break it down, because the tea she's spilling could destroy reputations. Y'all, buckle up because Azealia Banks just lit the internet on fire again. And this time she's coming straight for DC Young Fly with an accusation so wild it has everybody's jaws on the floor. Out of nowhere, Azealia is claiming that DC played a role in the tragic passing of his longtime partner, Ms. Jacky Oh, and she isn't just throwing shade. She's outright suggesting that Jacky's death wasn't just a cosmetic surgery gone wrong, but something pushed by DC himself. Now, you already know Azealia has a reputation for saying the most outrageous things at the worst possible times. But the timing here? That's what has people shook. It's been 2 years since Jacky's heartbreaking passing, and suddenly Azealia decides to drag her name back in the spotlight, tying it to her own messy history with DC. Fans are calling it disgusting, but others are wondering if there might be more truth to it than anyone wants to admit. So here's the burning question. Did DC really pressure Jacky into getting that surgery by criticizing her body and threatening to step out on her? Or is Azealia just digging in her old bag of grudges, twisting a tragedy to get revenge for a roast from years ago? Either way, this is one of the messiest celebrity feuds we've seen in a long time, and it's only just getting started. To really understand why Azealia is coming for DC Young Fly this hard, you gotta rewind the clock back to 2018. That's when Azealia made her now infamous appearance on Wild 'N Out, and let's just say it did not go the way she thought it would. See, Azealia came in expecting to promote her music and maybe get some playful jokes tossed her way, but what she got was a full-on roast that left her in tears, and it all started with DC. Now, if you've ever watched Wild 'N Out, you know the name of the game is roasting. Nobody is safe, everybody gets clowned, and the whole point is to take the heat and clap back with something even funnier. But when it was Azealia's turn, DC zeroed in on her, and the moment became one of the most talked about clips of the season. He cracked a joke about her appearance, and instead of rolling with it, Azealia completely froze. She tried to clap back, but DC doubled down and absolutely ate her up in front of a live audience. The crowd laughed, the cast piled on, and by the end of the segment, Azealia wasn't laughing. She was humiliated. And here's the thing. That moment didn't just sting her ego, it stuck with her for years. Fans online dragged her for not being able to take a joke, and memes of her crying on set went viral. For Azealia, who already had a reputation for being sensitive and messy, this was like pouring gasoline on an open flame. She blamed DC for ruining what she thought would be a major TV opportunity and even accused him of sabotaging her career. Instead of letting it go, she held onto that grudge like it was gold. Fast forward to 2023, when tragedy struck. Jacky Oh, DC's longtime partner and the mother of his children, tragically passed away after a cosmetic surgery in Miami. While most of the world was offering condolences, Azealia took the low road. Just hours after Jacky's death was announced, she hopped on Instagram and basically said it was karma. According to her, Jacky's passing was the universe paying DC back for the way he humiliated her on Wild 'N Out. She wrote disturbing posts claiming his jokes were rooted in self-hate, that he projected his insecurities onto women, and that Jacky Oh's death was proof of cosmic payback. And y'all, it wasn't just the words, it was the timing. While DC and his family were grieving, Azealia was celebrating. She even pointed out the fact that Jacky passed on Azealia's own birthday, calling it a sign of her witchcraft and implying she had something to do with it. The internet exploded, calling her comments vile, evil, and downright disturbing. Fans said she had officially crossed the line from messy to malicious, but Azealia didn't care. For her, this was personal, payback for a roast that happened years earlier. So when you look at the mess she's stirring now, it's not coming out of nowhere. This beef has been simmering for years, fueled by humiliation, bitterness, and Azealia's obsession with cosmic revenge. And with her latest claims about DC, she's proving that she's not done dragging this tragedy back into the spotlight. Now, if you followed Azealia Banks for even 5 minutes, you already know this isn't the first time she's gone completely off the rails. She has built an entire brand on being unpredictable, messy, and petty on levels most celebrities wouldn't even dare to touch. While other artists focus on music, Azealia focuses on beefs, and she has a Rolodex of grudges so long, it could be its own mixtape. Over the years, she's come for everyone from Nicki Minaj to Cardi B, from Kanye West to Elon Musk. Even Beyoncé wasn't safe from her shade. And it's never just a little jab. Azealia always goes for the jugular. She drags people's looks, their careers, their families, and sometimes even their children. The problem is, instead of elevating her career, all this drama has overshadowed her music to the point where most people know her more for feuds than for songs. But what really sets Azealia apart is the way she mixes in witchcraft and dark energy with her feuds. She has openly bragged about practicing spells, rituals, and sacrifices. Fans will never forget the disturbing videos she posted of herself digging up dead cats to use in rituals, or the countless times she's hinted that she can curse her enemies. To her, beef isn't just words, it's cosmic warfare. That's why, when she lined up Jacky Oh's death with her own birthday, people didn't take it as just pettiness. They saw it as Azealia hinting that she played a role, spiritually or otherwise. And that's the thing with her. She doesn't just fight, she weaponizes tragedy. Anytime someone she doesn't like faces hardship, she swoops in to claim it was karma, destiny, or her own witch powers at work. It's not just messy, it's cruel. Instead of offering compassion, she twists grief into ammunition, making sure the spotlight lands right back on her. So when Azealia started bringing Jacky Oh's name back into the headlines 2 years later, nobody was shocked. Disgusted? Yes. Horrified? Absolutely. But surprised? Not all. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that Azealia Banks will hold a grudge forever, and she will wait until the most painful moment possible to strike. To her, pain, especially someone else's pain, is just another stage to perform on. When it comes to Jacky Oh's passing, the story was heartbreaking from the very start. But the more people learned about what happened, the messier and more suspicious it became. In late May of 2023, Jacky flew down to Miami for what was supposed to be a routine mommy makeover. She had just given birth, and like so many women in the public eye, she felt the pressure to bounce back and perfect her body. She even teased the procedure on social media, writing that she was excited to share her results with her followers. But behind that smile, there were already red flags. The doctor who performed her surgery was Dr. Jacky Oh, a Miami-based surgeon who branded himself as Dr. Zach on Instagram. At first glance, he looked polished and professional. His clinic was flashy, his Instagram full of glammed-up before and after shots, and his branding gave off luxury vibes. But when people started digging after Jacky's death, it didn't take long for the cracks to show. For starters, Dr. Zach wasn't even board certified. He was what's called board eligible, which means he had finished his residency but had never passed or even taken the actual board exam to be officially certified. That detail alone sent shockwaves through social media, because most patients assume their surgeon is fully accredited before they're allowed to perform invasive procedures. And that wasn't all. His clinic, PH1 Miami, had already been the subject of quiet rumors in the plastic surgery community, with whispers about botched results and questionable practices. After Jacky's death, fans uncovered even more troubling details. She wasn't just a patient. She was also supposed to be part of a promotional partnership. The arrangement, according to reports, was that she'd get her surgery for free in exchange for promoting Dr. Zach on her platforms. In fact, he even posted a smiling picture with her before the procedure, captioning it with a promo for her upcoming mommy makeover. But after the tragedy, that post mysteriously vanished from his page, fueling speculation that he was trying to cover his tracks. Then came the timeline of her final hours. According to TMZ, Jacky had the procedure on May 30th, and at first everything seemed to be going smoothly. She was sent home with the usual aftercare package: painkillers, antibiotics, and anti-nausea meds. But the very next day, May 31st, she started complaining of severe headaches. She went back to the clinic for a checkup, and instead of flagging it as something serious, she was told to stop one medication and switch to ibuprofen. What looked like a small adjustment would turn out to be a critical mistake. That evening, things spiraled. Jacky reportedly told family members that her head felt like it was burning, and she began having trouble speaking. Her aunt, terrified by the symptoms, dialed 911, but by the time paramedics arrived, Jacky had gone unresponsive. She was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead at just 32 years old. The news stunned the entertainment world, but almost immediately, suspicion turned toward Dr. Zach. Why was an uncertified surgeon performing high-risk cosmetic surgeries? Why did he delete the post featuring Jacky? And why weren't warning signs caught sooner during her checkup? The Miami police opened a preliminary investigation, working alongside the medical examiner's office to determine the cause of death. For a moment, it looked like this was going to explode into a full-blown criminal case. But then nothing. The investigation quietly fizzled out. The case was eventually closed without charges, leaving behind more questions than answers. Dr. Zach tried to clean up the narrative, releasing a statement insisting his clinic met the highest standards and that all procedures were performed in a hygienically safe environment. But for many fans, it was too little, too late. The damage was done, and Jacky's death became a cautionary tale about the hidden dangers of cosmetic surgery and the risks of trusting the wrong doctor. What made it even worse was Azealia Banks inserting herself into the story, twisting this tragedy into yet another weapon against DC. And while fans were grieving Jacky, Azealia was busy using her death to settle an old score. And just when you thought this story couldn't get any darker, Azealia Banks dropped her latest bombshell. According to her, Jacky Oh didn't simply decide to go under the knife for herself. Azealia is alleging that DC Young Fly pressured Jacky into the surgery by constantly criticizing her body and even threatening to cheat if she didn't keep herself up. Now, at first, fans brushed this off as just another one of Azealia's unhinged rants. But then she pulled out what she called her receipts, clips of DC making jokes about Jacky's looks over the years. And here's where things got messy. In one clip from an old 85 South Show episode, DC is seen clowning about how women fall off after having kids, saying that if his girl let herself go, he'd have no problem stepping out. He tries to play it off as comedy, but knowing what we know now about Jacky's insecurities, those words hit completely differently. Another resurfaced clip shows DC on Instagram Live, cracking jokes about Jacky needing to snap back after pregnancy. At the time, fans laughed it off as his usual roasting style, but Azealia claims these weren't just jokes. They were digs that cut deep and made Jacky feel like she wasn't good enough. And Azealia didn't stop there. She outright accused DC of emotionally manipulating Jacky, saying that behind closed doors, he was constantly comparing her to other women and using the threat of infidelity as leverage. According to Azealia, This is what pushed Jacky into chasing surgery in the first place, to try to keep her man happy, even at the cost of her own health. The timing of her accusations is what made it sting even more. Fans were already reeling from the tragic details of Jacky's death, and then Azealia comes in, essentially painting DC as the villain in the entire story. She framed his roasting not as harmless comedy, but as psychological warfare that broke Jacky down over time. Now, let's be clear, there's no hard proof that DC actually forced Jacky into anything. Publicly, he's always spoken about how much he loved her and their family. But the resurfaced clips give Azealia just enough ammo to make her story believable to some people. And that's where the controversy explodes. Is she connecting real dots that people ignored, or is she just weaponizing old jokes and twisting them into a deadly narrative? Either way, the damage is done. Azealia has planted the seed that DC's words weren't just jokes. They may have been the very thing that pushed Jacky to go under the knife, setting off the chain of events that ended her life. And for a man still grieving the mother of his children, that is a brutal accusation to defend himself against. The internet wasted no time tearing into Azealia Banks for her latest rant. The second her comments hit the blogs, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok lit up with fans calling her evil and obsessed. One viral tweet with nearly 50,000 likes read, "Azealia will literally dance on someone's grave if it means she can get a headline. She has no soul." Another fan put it even harsher. "This woman is proof that not all attention is good attention. She feeds off pain like it's oxygen." And it wasn't just regular fans dragging her. Celebrities and influencers chimed in too. Some said she had officially crossed the line from messy to demonic, especially bringing Jacky's children into the spotlight by suggesting their father caused their mother's death. People pointed out how disrespectful it was to the grieving family, calling it emotional abuse disguised as shade. But here's where it gets complicated, because as disgusting as most people found Azealia's timing, a smaller but very vocal group online started asking, wait, what if she's not completely wrong? Clips of DC's old comments about women's bodies and cheating if his girl lets herself go resurfaced and started circulating right alongside Azealia's accusations. That gave some people pause. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from Azealia is just trolling to hold on, was Jacky pressured into this surgery more than we realized? So the debate split into two camps. On one side, you had the majority, calling Azealia heartless and accusing her of exploiting Jacky's death for revenge. On the other, a smaller crowd whispering that, while Azealia may be cruel in her delivery, she might actually be pointing to something uncomfortable that nobody wants to admit. Either way, the backlash was huge, and once again, Azealia Banks managed to make herself the center of a firestorm by dragging someone else's tragedy into her ongoing war. For fans of DC and Jacky, it felt like she wasn't just reopening old wounds. She was ripping the bandages off and pouring salt in for the world to watch. So where do things stand now? Well, if you thought Azealia was going to let this mess die down, think again. In true Azealia fashion, she's already escalating. According to her latest rants, she's not just dragging DC's name. She's demanding that Jacky Oh's death be re-examined as a possible murder investigation. Yep, you heard that right. Azealia is openly calling for the case to be reopened, framing DC not as a grieving partner, but as someone who indirectly or even directly set the chain of events in motion. To her, this isn't just karma anymore. She's hinting at accountability, painting DC as a manipulator whose words and actions allegedly pushed Jacky into a decision that cost her life. Now, let's be clear. The authorities already closed Jacky's case after determining her death was a tragic complication from surgery. There's no evidence of foul play, and no sign that DC had any involvement beyond being the partner left to pick up the pieces. But with Azealia stirring the pot, fans are starting to pressure social media outlets, gossip blogs, and even law enforcement to look again. And this is where things get really messy. DC has remained completely silent on Azealia's latest accusations. No Instagram lives, no interviews, no slick comeback jokes, just silence. Some people see that as strength, refusing to give her the clout she's chasing. Others think his silence makes him look guilty, like he doesn't know how to defend himself without making things worse. Meanwhile, Azealia is thriving on the chaos. Every blog post, every trending hashtag, every YouTube breakdown, she's right at the center, feeding off the attention like she always does. The more people call her crazy, the louder she gets. And at this point, it doesn't even matter if what she's saying is true. What matters is that people are listening. So now the question is this. Will DC finally break his silence and shut Azealia down once and for all? Or will he keep ignoring her, risking that her twisted version of events becomes the one people remember? Because whether you love her, hate her, or can't stand her, Azealia Banks has once again forced her way into the spotlight. And this time, she's dragging a tragedy that should have been left in peace. What do you think? Is Azealia exposing an ugly truth that nobody wants to face? Or is she just exploiting Jacky Oh's death to settle an old grudge? Drop your thoughts below, because this story is far from over.